Hey guys, and welcome to Plastic Free July. Woohoo! For me, every month is Plastic Free July, but it's really nice to have all of you guys with me this month. Who of you are new to this? Who's new to Plastic Free July? Would love to hear all of your struggles and your challenges and things you're learning. Please, just apologies for the noise. I'm here in Los Angeles. It's a little bit noisy. It's really nice though. So right now I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about Plastic Free July, what we're up to this month, and how you can make the most of your experience. So based on my 10 years living plastic free, I tried to put together a little bit of a program. So if you're interested in getting updates and tips and tricks and recipes and all of that good stuff, definitely subscribe to my newsletter. You can do that at my website, iQuitPlastics.com, which is the link in my bio. So first and foremost, you want to take an audit of the trash. So basically just go to your trash can right now and empty it out and see what trash you use. Both trash and recycling get dumped out, and then you can kind of assess the sorts of materials that you're commonly using. This is important because it helps you identify the sources of the plastic pollution or the trash that you personally are responsible for and that you're personally creating. Once you identify the source, like all things, then you can rule them out and getting rid of those particular items. Then once you do the trash audit, you can make a plan. So once you make your plan, this is how you what the sorts of items you're going to phase out. What are the things you absolutely essentially need that you can't phase out? And then the other items that potentially have sustainable alternatives available. So this might be, you might find a milk jug in your trash can or your recycling can, and you can say, oh, this month I'll make plant milk. I'll make my own milk. Or I'll try and buy an alternative, see if there's any plant milk that comes in a glass container. Or perhaps you found a hummus container. This is one of the most popular ones. People are always like, what do I do about hummus? Well, chickpeas are pretty cheap, so you can just blend those up if you have a blender and make your own hummus, and then it's going to be healthier as well. So these are just a few examples of things that you're going to find in your trash can or during your trash audit that you can then make a plan for avoiding during this month of Plastic Free July. So the point here of Plastic Free July is, of course, we want to reduce the amount of pollution that we're creating. We're now seeing that plastic is just ending up in whales' bellies, and washing up on the beaches of paradise, as well as we know that plastics are leaching toxic chemicals into our food and drink and our face products and everything that we touch, as well as shedding physical microplastics and nanoplastics, things that we can't even see and cannot clean out of our waterways, out of our food, out of our drink, and then eventually we cannot clean out of our bodies. So this is a little bit upsetting. So instead of panicking and settling into a state of paralysis, we are taking action and we're quitting plastics this July. So that hopefully, ideally, we are better prepared beyond July to avoid plastics in our everyday life. And we have a few habits that have been built during this month that we can sustain beyond July. So that's the point of Plastic Free July, is to just challenge ourselves to think outside the plastics, to get a little creative, get a little resourceful. And I want to make sure that you guys feel super supported in this commitment that you're hopefully making. And so again, starting with a trash audit is a really beautiful place to start, and then make your plan. So for then, you really want to think about your shopping. So where am I going to do my shopping this month? Is there a farmer's market on? When is it? Can it fit into my schedule? Is there a bulk food store nearby? If there's not, can you create a little group or a co-op with your friends or other like-minded people in your community where you guys can order bulk food together, and then you can split it up, and then you're minimizing the amount of plastics that you're creating. You might get all of your chickpeas in a giant plastic bag, better than individually wrapped plastic bags. So that's one option if you're in kind of a food desert. Another thing, you can still shop at the grocery stores. Just stay on the perimeter. Don't go inside. The aisles are often where you find all the plastic wrapped, plastic packaged, plastic food products, all of those things that are generally processed and not necessarily good for our health anyway. So not living, vibrant, delicious, nutritious foods. So stay on the outside edge of the supermarket where all the fresh whole foods live. Also, if something's in the refrigerator or frozen section, it's probably closer to a whole fresh food. So that could be safe if it's packaged without plastic. And then also you want to bring your reusables shopping. So definitely try and get your reusable bags stocked in your car, get your reusable Tupperware, your jars, and these are the sorts of things that you want to have handy this month. Your reusable coffee cup, your reusable water bottle, all of these things that are going to really support your plastic-free July journey. Keep them handy wherever it makes sense for you. Maybe it's in your car, in the back of your car. Maybe it's by the sink or by the counter, wherever you're going to see them on your way out the door. Maybe just keep them in your bag. And a really important tip for making your reusables, or I guess creating a positive association with your reusables, is washing them. So immediately after use, if they're dirty, give them a rinse straight away. You don't have to fully scrub them down, but if you just give them a rinse, then they're going to be a little bit closer to cleaner, and they're not going to crust over with whatever they were containing, like your morning latte or, the smoothie or whatever. Give them a rinse, and then they're going to be a little bit closer to being clean, and you're going to have a positive relationship and a positive experience with your reusable item, as opposed to getting home and your cup is fully crusted over with coffee and you're like, ugh, what a pain, and then you don't use it and you end up having to use a takeaway or not being able to get a coffee or something like that. So we want to create positive associations with our reusables and all of these things that we're doing, all of these new habits that we're trying to form in Plastic Free July, so that we actually sustain them. Because if we're having a good time and it's fun and it's supportive and it's positive, we're more likely to continue doing this action or this habit. If we have a bad time, if it's a negative time, we're not gonna try, we're not gonna think of it. It's not gonna be something that our brain is like, let's do that again, that was fun. This is a little strategy for you. All right, then once you've done your shopping, you have all of your ingredients, hopefully more whole foods, fresh vegetables and fresh fruit than usual. This is a good thing, right? A lot of the plastic food packaging, not only does it shed these little mini plastic flakes into our food and beverages, but oftentimes it, as I mentioned, leaches chemicals. So just eating fresh vegetables that just grew out of the ground is just logically good for us. So if you need ideas for cooking, for prepping meals, for just living plastic free in general, definitely subscribe to my newsletter on my website, iQuitPlastics.com. Going to be sending you lots of good info this week, this month, this year. Woo, this life, let's do it. But actually, after you've done your shopping, it's time to get a little experimental in the kitchen. That's right. One of the key essential values of living plastic free is just putting a little energy into preparation. So we're not just out in the world like totally blindsided by this decision to have quit plastics. We're a little bit more prepared. We are also flexible, so we're resourceful and creative. So we do find ourselves in a situation where we're like, dang it, I didn't bring my reusable spoon for this ice cream sample. You can get creative and be like, how about a little bit of bark for that sample? So just like look around you and see what you can do, or see if they have a spoon back there for you to use. So this is your opportunity to get creative. And also be prepared. Some people prefer preparation. Some people like creative, in the moment, spontaneous resourcefulness. So just feel into who you are. So for food prepping, there's a lot of great tips that we're going to send you in the newsletter. Basically, there's a few main things that people have found to be super useful to prepare. So hummus, as I mentioned, super easy to blend up chickpeas. This is a great protein source, super easy spread for sandwiches, great thing to bring to potlucks or gatherings of friends. So easy to make, and you can make a huge bulk amount of this hummus, and then you've got snacks for the kids or yourself or whatever. So that's a great one to prepare, and then you can just snack on that when you're like, oh my gosh, I really just want to get a plastic wrapped treat. You're like, I've got delicious hummus. Easy to make it super delicious by adding spices or roasted veggies. Another great thing to prepare or make now, plant milk. So the best one, soak oats overnight, then just strain those oats out. You can blend them as well and then strain out the fiber of the oats. Done. This can go bad. It doesn't have a super long life. So, if it's easy for you, make it often. I like to add a date or some cinnamon to give it a delicious flavor. So there's your plant milk, and then you can have delicious lattes and add this to your smoothies, all sorts of applications for plant milk, of course. Another thing that's good to make early is your toothpaste and deodorant. So I can send you recipes for that. They're super easy. Toothpaste is just coconut oil and bicarb soda. You can add a little bit of peppermint oil to make it taste delicious. As well as deodorant is the same recipe, but a little bit of arrowroot powder, which is the absorbent. So coconut oil, arrowroot powder, and bicarb for your deodorant. But I'll send you those recipes and we'll post them this month on my Instagram feed so you guys feel set up for success. I have so many recipes. Mouthwash is one of my faves. Super yummy to rinse your mouth with delicious, fresh feeling mouthwash after you brush your teeth with coconut oil and bicarb, which is not like the ideal plastic-free solution to toothpaste. Toothpaste squeezed out of the tube is really an amazing experience, which we've heard from y'all's feedback is one of the hardest things to kind of replace in the plastic-free journey. It's not this great experience. So, we have to be real about that. But it's okay because we can make a delicious mouthwash which makes up for that, subpar toothpaste experience. So those are a few things. You also might want to make a cleaning product. All you do is soak some lemon rinds, like have your lemon water in the morning, super good to alkalize your body, and then put those rinds, those leftover lemons, into a big jar, add hot water, and there you go, you've got a cleaning product. So those are a few recipes to start you off with. And we'll be sending more of those throughout the newsletter. Again, sign up iQuitPlastics.com, and I'll be posting them on my feed. So cook some stuff, prep some food, and then lots of home tips coming your way this month as well, around bath and beauty products, clothing, cleaning, all sorts of things. So be sure to be active in the comment space on my posts this month and ask all your questions so I can be sure to address them and answer them, because we want to be super supportive of your month and all y'all's commitments to reducing your amount of plastics this month, today. Time, we just invented time. Time is just, is it really a thing? So also another thing, tip for you, is to create a plastic-free fam. So this is to really help you stay accountable. So if you have other people who are like-minded, maybe in your community or your family or your household, that you can work together with and team up with, who will support you in moments of temptation. If you're at the store and you're like, I really want this amazing plastic-packed salad, it looks so yummy, and your fam is like, girl, be strong. Don't do it. Think of the dolphins. That's a good fam looking out for you and the planet and your commitment to Plastic Free July. So that's really, great to have a community. And it's also, you can also then celebrate at the end. You can be honest and transparent about your failures and work together through hard times, instead of being totally in it alone. And then you're more likely to fail, right? Because you don't have other people kind of holding you accountable. So see if you've got another friend or another person in your life that might want to take this challenge as well. And definitely participate in my contest. #PlasticFree Mermaid emoji. So I will be monitoring this hashtag throughout the month of July. I want to hear all your stories. I want to hear your successes and your fails. It doesn't matter to me if you were like totally plastic free the entire month. I just want to see your effort. I just want to see that a transformation has taken place for you. I want to see that perhaps you learned something about yourself or about your lifestyle, about your plastic consumption, about your where you live and the kinds of plastics that you're exposed to or you don't have access to, bulk foods, or I want to hear your stories. So the plastic free mermaid emoji hashtag is where I'm going to be monitoring. And then in August, after this Plastic Free July, we're going to look at all of those hashtags and ask you guys to submit your story, just basically how you felt about this whole month and how you feel transformed. So that's a little bit of a pep talk, a little bit more strategic than my first pep talk I gave, which was written. So I hope you feel inspired to take on this challenge this month. If you haven't started already, start now and just add a few days on at the end. it's a really great way for us personally to wake up to our consumption of plastics, but just our consumption in general, and just see how much plastics has kind of infiltrated all aspects of life. And then also just waking up to our consumption in general, becoming more conscious consumers, so that we're not just out there like mindlessly buying everything, or things that we're just used to buying for decades, or brands that we recognize purely because they have, they've paid money for us to recognize them, right? Like we know their brand from the advertisings that they pay for us to see, or for the persuasive marketing that's packaged or printed on their packaging. So we're just taking back our sovereignty. This is like an exercise in like self-sufficiency. Like I am responsible for my own self and my own purchases and all of my behavior out in the world, including what I buy, especially what I buy. In today's, like in the current political situation, like I'm voting with my dollar constantly. Like it is always very thoughtful, because I know that counts more than anything else I can do every day. So just maintaining a little bit of consciousness and maintaining a little bit, like let's just be more conscious in our experience of this life. We only have one body. We want to treat it right. We want to be vibrant and healthy and happy and be living this like beautiful existence, maybe with a higher purpose, and this is one way to kind of like elevate our life. And this is I'm a philosophy major, right? So I'm always like looking pretty deep into these things, and it's funny because the plastics awakening, which is like kind of sweeping the world, is super exciting, and we all get to experience various stages of this awakening. First, like you're like, oh my gosh, single-use plastics, like, oh, the straws are killing the turtles, like how unfortunate. And then you start to see the plastics in the other parts of our life, in all areas, and it kind of expands outward, right? It's just this like incredible, it's like seeing the Matrix, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't unsee it. You see plastic is everywhere, and it's really incredible. And this is happening also to people in terms of the climate emergency. People are realizing that our Earth is in fact heating up at a rate faster than any of us ever, than the scientists predicted it ever would. And so action is required urgently, across the board, in terms of our personal environmental commitments as well as our societal commitments. So instead of kind of falling into this like eco trauma or this paralyzing like panic, which is common, it's certainly not uncommon to feel a little bit despondent at this time. So I encourage you to take any action. Whenever you feel low about the state of the planet or about the ubiquitousness or ubiquity of plastics, just do anything. Any action is better than no action. And another thing that I'm really interested in, and maybe this is an entirely different live or discussion, but the privilege to even be able to consider quitting plastics. And if we have the resources to quit plastics, are we morally obligated to do so? And this is like, once we learn that plastics are polluting our planet and plastic is polluting our bodies, nobody wants to use them. Nobody is like actively like wanting to continue using this destructive material. So if we have the privilege to be able to change, do we have this like ethical obligation to do so? Personally, I think yes, and who is then enforcing this moral code? Is this up to us? This is something that I'm contemplating at the moment. So definitely weigh in if you have any insights. And then ultimately, if we want to progress, if we want to see the extent of human innovation and see our technologies go beyond Earth, then we really need our climate intact. So I think it's a really exciting time. It's scary, but I'm eternally optimistic and idealistic, so I'm seeing this as a really amazing opportunity for us humans to rise to the challenge and make a difference on our planet and for humanity. So here's an opportunity for us to exert our influence. I think 120 million people participated in Plastic Free July last year, which is an incredible amount of people, and it certainly had an economic impact and told manufacturers that we're sick of plastic packaging. We demand better materials, we demand better systems, refill, repurposed, reusable. We want our reusable packages to be accepted when we bring them. So this is a message that we're sending with Plastic Free July, and I'm so grateful for all of you for participating. Again, always remember, just do your best, just do what you can, start small and grow from there. And good luck this month.